Hello and thank you for joining us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, Chief of Air Staff promises sustained training for pilots and technical units, says Nigeria is on course to receive Tucano bombers in July. Demand for return to 1963 Constitution. State pleas, fiscal federalism and state creation dominate zonal hearings on constitutional review. Nigerians groan over unprecedented rise in food prices as bakers threaten to hike in price of bread and biscuits. And later on the show, Chelsea beats Manchester City 1-0 in Porto to claim second UEFA Champions League crown. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mojid Jamiu, while Kayode Ogudari will join us later on sports. Journalist Hangout continues right now. Thank you for staying with us. A fall while riding a horse is an opportunity to master the earth better rather than discouragement. After the military aircraft crash of the 21st of May in Kaduna, the Nigerian Air Force insists its pilots are more than qualified for flying. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Isiaka Amao, however, promised that the Air Force will sustain training for pilots and technical units to avert such clashes. In an exclusive interview with Babajide Otitoju in Abuja, Air Marshal Amao also said Nigeria is on course to receive the much-awaited Super Tucano bombers in July. Let's share the interview with you.
I'm fine. As a friend of the Air Force, I've come to commiserate with you for the loss of officers.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
It's such a painful thing related personally with a good number of pilots of the Nigerian Air Force. I joined them on a mission. It's an Mi-35T in Borno State. I joined them on a reconnaissance mission with the ATR platform, also in Borno State. So I know some of these pilots personally. So it's a painful thing to lose properly trained pilots who was trained in the UK, trained in the UAE, and other places.
The Air Force will do pilots training. In fact, we take it very seriously. And if you ask any of our pilots, most of them have done one training or the other. Most of them are only their local training. They have gone abroad for maybe instructor's course or even advanced training on the aircraft. Likewise, the technicians and maintenance crew, we do not joke with that. Like the new aircraft are supposed to induct now, like the GF-17, the one with, they were trained abroad. They are trained in the country before coming in. The pilots trained there. The maintenance, some of the maintenance crew are still there, training now. The Super Tucano we have that are coming in July, we're supposed to be receiving 6 of them in July. Where the pilots are still there, training. And the maintenance crew are there also training. So we don't take, we take training very seriously in the Air Force because we know we don't have parking space in the air. So, and for you to fly our machine and fly it safely, you must be qualified. So that is why there's no doubt about that.
Talk about the Tucano. Nigerians we can't wait. We can't wait to have this Tucano climb into the air and begin to join other aircrafts in decimating or even exterminating the bandits and terrorists harassing our people. What gives you joy about the Tucano airplane?
Well, the Tucano airplane, we have a state-of-the-art aircraft, and of course, the precision strike on the aircraft is something we look forward to. And also, these aircraft are coming in July, but then I was supposed to travel to the US with my chief of training and operations and the procurement officers to see what they are doing and to see to also ensure that this aircraft arrive by July. The National Assembly member left on Monday, and that's yesterday, and they are there now. And so we are expecting them back in May from now, all for the oversight function of ensuring that this aircraft arrive. We receive the first batch by July this year. The aircraft also has can be used for ISR, what we call ISR. ISR is intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. So we can do that. 6 of them are configured. They are configured with cameras that can carry out ISR function, other than the precision strike function. So those are some of the things. Once we have all the platforms on ground, we have 6 aircraft that can perform both role of precision strike and ISR, and we have 6 that are just for precision strike.
So we are still expecting 3 more JF-17s.
Yes, no, we received the 3 JF-17. But the other we are only proposing to buy 3 more. Yes, we are we have to work with our budget. Yes. So we are only proposing to buy 3 more, but we have just received the GSM, and also we expect it to be a game changer. They will soon be moving to the battlefield.
People say it's so similar to the
F7. Yes. F7.
F7 is supersonic jet.
Yes, this one is also supersonic. It's a multi-role fighter aircraft. That means you can use it for air to air, you can use it for air to ground attack. You can use it when I mean air to air, that means you can use it to intercept another aircraft that is intruding into our airspace. Those are some of the things.
Former Alpha Jet instructor before you became the chief of air staff. Tell me the joy that you feel once you climb into the air to start with from that up.
The sky is always very interesting. Of course, once you're in the machine, you are in a different world. See, the problem we pilots have is that we are enjoying the flying, while people are that we have been flying. There was a time we had a formation flight. We needed to carry out a ceremony that we organized for one of our. So my wife had to attend the ceremony, and I was in formation of. I was flying. I was an instructor on the airbeat to that time. I was flying as one of the formation members. So my wife she could not stay there. She was shouting to everybody, "Come down now, come down." Yes, all form of formation, movement, maneuver. So, but the thing is that in the air, we enjoy it. Once, especially when the fighter flying, transport flying, so they drink tea in the cup. We enjoy the movement of the aircraft, and we want to show people that the aircraft can be moved, can be flew within to the other elements.
Now tell me what your goal is, how you want to give us the best Air Force of our dream.
This Air Force, I want to be known that I've transformed this Air Force from, I will not say the Air Force is bad now, I will not say it's not good. But then, yes, better than I met it. I was part and parcel of the last administration. But then, of course, I know even if the last administration were here, they'll be making progress too. So that's what we are looking at. And what I want to do is our training institution to start with, and then to bring them to the level of international standards. To flying and ground training institutions, and we are working on that now. we just had a conference last 2 weeks. We had a conference on operations, on aircraft engineering, and on logistics. So by this next week, I think we are starting with admin and medicals. So all these we have discussed, there are resolutions, and we have started implementing those resolutions. By the time we finish implementing those resolutions, we have what we call world-class efforts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Isiaka Amao. Babajide, the experience with him, and we have another Chief of Air Staff now, and this is happening. The air crash happened immediately as he's coming to the office, almost settling down in the office. But the bottom line is that I think they're resolute.
Yes, the Air Force is determined to not be despondent over this matter, but so to simply carry out their work. We've lost one of our Alpha jets, and I could say we've lost 2 pilots, because what the Air Force will do is wait for like 6 months. If there's no information, maybe at that point they could then tell the family that, look, we think this person is gone. We saw the remains of a pilot at the scene, but one of the other pilot who must have ejected from the aircraft, they've not seen him up to now.
Might have ejected into the
no one knows. It's not the first time that this will happen. We lost a pilot some years back. That's Brimo, the son of the former DG of NYC. Was a pilot. The plane came down in enemy territory, Boko Haram territory. Up till now, no one has seen him. And we are talking about 8 years or so now. We've eventually located the aircraft, his aircraft, Brimo's aircraft, but no one has seen the pilot since that incident. So people who join the military know that these things can happen. But as the Chief of Air Staff emphasized, they will not be discouraged. They will continue to improve capacity of the pilots. They will continue to improve capacity of the maintenance men, so that the aircraft or the fleet of the Air Force would be top-notch at any point. I was told that someone said something on air that the pilot, Ashani, was too young, too junior to fly the VIPs that he flew, and that because of that, he would not be able to tell them that he could not land. I've never heard anything more ridiculous than that. There's no pilot who will be intimidated about the fact that he was carrying high-ranking military officers, and when he sees that it's dangerous to land, he will now be too scared to tell them that, look, we can't land in this situation. You know? The motto of this Air Force, as I know them, is no must go mission. You know what that means? That there's no mission that you must go by all means. Which means if the aircraft is not in perfect condition, you can't fly.
The weather.
If the weather is too bad, you can't fly. And I'm saying that I have traveled in the past with Air Force generals. We were going to Makurdi along with people like AVM Idris. Because AVM Idris had worked in that place for years. We were going there and we were told that the weather was bad. We stopped in Makurdi. They were all generals. The allow, you remember the Nigerian war hero who died during the Civil War, you know, in his aircraft. There was an air crash. Allow was the Nigerian war hero. His son rose to become a general in the current Air Force and was head of admin. He was on that flight. We were going to Makurdi, all of us. But the weather was bad. We stopped in Abuja. Why didn't the pilot was also a flight lieutenant. Why didn't he say, oh, because I don't want to offend these generals, therefore let me go and kill them and kill myself as well. When these things happen, we hear all kinds of ridiculous things. If a pilot landed, it must have been because he felt that he could pull it through, not because he was scared of generals. No. After all, even on the presidential fleet and the rest of them, it's still these capable, experienced young pilots that are flying. And I mentioned something a few days back that even the girl that died, Arotile had already, the former chief of air staff had already taken the decision to transfer her to the presidential fleet because of her competence. That decision had been made. I can say that. So Arotile was less than 30 years. So if someone now said that, oh, she's not qualified, the number of hours you fly is what determines your qualification as a pilot and your competence. There are air commodores who have not flown up to half of what the late Ashani, because Ashani had flown 2,450 hours. There are air commodores who have not flown up to that. So, and that's what determines how competent you are. That's how you are judged. The number of flying hours, not your rank.
Talking about our
or
fleets
age.
Now, we're talking about our fleets now, what we have, because the advantage we have over this ISWAP and Boko Haram, the bandits guys, these bandits, is the air power that they don't have. And I think we should fortify the number of airplanes in our fleet.
Yes, you know,
Fighter jets
are not just things to pick up on the shelf. You have to pre-order, like we have seen with the
Super Tucano.
the Super Tucanos, which is generating a lot of enthusiasm. We paid for these Super Tucanos since about, I think, 3 years ago. And I think we'll be taking delivery of the first sets by... the first 6 by July, while the remaining 6 will come in October. So that's why it could be painful each time a bird goes down in our fleet, especially the fighter jets. Each time one of the planes come down, because we don't really have many. So losing one, and the cost of even training the human resources that mans them, the pilots. So they are not conventional jets. They are not conventional planes. They are specially made for some special and specific purposes. So it costs a lot of money, and like the Super Tucanos, they are actually built to specifications given the manufacturers in Florida by the Nigerian Air Force to be able to fight in the Boko Haram terrain, to fight insurgency, to fight terrorism. So that's why they have to configure some things and take into consideration the terrain which they are bringing it to build all those things to it. So that's why, I mean, it's painful that anytime we lose any of these jets, it takes a lot of time for us to be able to replace them. You might have the money, but it's not done something you pick and replace, like the same way you replace the battery in your remote control or you replace food when you are hungry. So these are two different things. And you know how long it takes to train these pilots. And imagine the man hours that have been flown by Ashanike, 2,450. You can't achieve that in a day. You are talking of you imagine somebody who has been flying every day for like 100 days.
He was already a captain by 2019.
Yeah. So with 2,450, you imagine somebody who sits in a plane every day for 100 days. That's what it will take you to achieve that kind of flying hours.
Even these passenger planes that we
they don't have up to that.
Yeah,
they don't fly close to that.
Yeah, and from the itinerary,
and they don't have that kind of training.
Yeah, from the itinerary given by the wife, said 2 days earlier, I think she flew to Enugu, and the next thing she called the wife that she was on her way to Kaduna. If the hierarchy of the armed forces of the Nigerian army didn't believe in his capacity, they won't be using him like that. So it means so for some people to just wake up and say he was afraid of telling them the truth, I mean, it's all bagadash. I mean, people say a lot of things.
I'm not allowed to tell the story.
That is it. That is it. So I think Nigerians, especially, we should be wary of what we read or see on social media.
Also, they told us that Idris Debi's son died, that he killed the ADC
of the father
and other people. Even when I was telling them, now look, I interviewed the ambassador and he told me all of these things are lies. They said, did you expect the ambassador to tell you the truth? One of them even brought a picture of a funeral. He brought a picture of a funeral and he said that was Idris Debi's funeral. I said no. Idris Debi's funeral will come up later, and what leaders are coming? They didn't hurriedly bury him. Yes. He said no. Now he won't reply me in Yoruba. I said want to go back Leo. Can you imagine? I just gave up that.
Macron, the first president Macron was there when
yes,
he was buried.
They had to wait for what leaders to be able to attend.
Yes, Chide, this Super Tucano, we can't just wait for, and we're expecting six of them.
Yes, we are expecting 6 of them in July. The senators have gone there. The chair of Air Staff was supposed to go, but because of this accident, decided to wait behind. The Super Tucano will help us to achieve so much because you can also use it for reconnaissance mission to spy on enemy positions, which was what we were doing with that Beechcraft that came down in February. So apart from its precision guided munitions and the accuracy of its delivery, it also has capacity to do other things like ISR, spying on the enemy, which is what gives us an advantage. And it is a light aircraft. If the ground is hard enough, you can land on it. It does not need it does not always need maybe an airfield or
land on
an airport.
Strip, yeah.
Yes. Once if it's hard enough, if the surface is hard enough, even if it's a road and it's hard enough, on third road, if it's hard enough, you can land. It also has fuel economy. So it's a new generation aircraft, and we are going to enjoy it. As I said to some of my friends in the Air Force, it may not be the best that we can get, but it will help us achieve our aim of softening up the enemy before we bring in the helicopter platform. I am convinced that the helicopters are the best for dealing with Boko Haram because of you are able to provide close air support to the ground troops and mop up the enemy, whereas the aircraft will fly high altitude, deliver weapons from high altitude. But those helicopters will come close,
yeah.
kill whatever is killable.
Like the Apache.
Yes, and they dread it so much. They dread it. Once they hear the sound of our Mi-35P, they start running because they know that it does not spare them and delivers the weapons without mercy. So, but these ones, at least, we can help us soften them up before the ground attack helicopters move in. So, it's something to be excited about. Once we've received this, within 6 months, the other one, which will be
12.
Yes, the other set, which will be painted in woodland color, will also come, because this one will be in desert camo. The first set will be in desert camouflage colors. So I'm happy and I'm confident that this enemy will be defeated. It may take a while, but I'm confident that we will defeat the enemy, and we commiserate with the Air Force at this time for the losses that they suffered. We commiserate with our army as well, having lost the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Military Intelligence, and a few other people.
All right, just before we go to our next topic, let's talk about disaster management at a time of turmoil and conflict has been witnessed not only in Nigeria, but globally. Humanitarian services must be advanced. In this regard, a retired military officer has documented his experience as a soldier in disaster management and humanitarian services. Retired General Dele Tajudeen Olabode's new book, The Making of Humanitarian Actor, is a handbook on humanitarian and disaster situations for practitioners, non-government organizations, people affected by crisis, the military, and other critical responders engaged in resolving conflicts and managing humanitarian situations. Let's take some reaction about the book.
My brother has chosen in his book to address an all-important subject at a time in our country when some non-state actors are calling for war, for secession, for separation, a time when mindless bandits are displacing communities, are turning innocent toilers to refugees in their own country. One wish many of those calling for this doomsday will read this book to know what it takes to clean up their mess after they have thrown the society into a quagmire. We pray we never see war again in Nigeria. We pray peace return to our land. We pray we never witness calamity of a scale that will require the deployment of the magnitude of material logistics painted in this book by General Olabode. The humanitarian disaster that follows wars are unimaginable, and this General Olabode has made real here.
Today's nature of warfare is that it brings so many actors. You have professional soldiers representing the government who are professionals. You also have non-state armed groups who may not be professionals and may behave in unprofessional way. In between these two actors, you also have civilians. Now, to make the matter even worse, in any modern conflict now, you are going to have humanitarian actors, either UN agencies, local civil society organizations, or international NGOs. Now, all these agencies, they have their different cultures. The military has its culture, the humanitarians have their culture. But they have one thing that unites them. That is the protection of civilians. Each of these actors wants to protect civilians, but in his own way.
I've had the opportunity of being in the field, playing the role of, though a military officer, but playing the role that has something to do with response to humanitarian emergencies. But in the course of my duty, I realized that there were so many missing links. And that's why I started gathering my data. I said, no, we need to right the wrongs. Because the worst thing that can happen to a disaster responder is for him not to know what to do at a particular point in time. So that was when I now sat back and I look at it. Let me tell them, let me tell the world, so that they will understand what it takes to be able to know what to do at the very right time. so that the thing will not escalate more than necessary. Because the worst that can happen to you as a responder is when you allow the problem to overwhelm you. Then you end up being helped by the people you are earmarked to help.
All right. I'm just looking at the growing agitation for separation, agitation for war, and everything you have, and especially some Nigerians sitting pretty in London, America, and they come on Facebook Live and they'll be saying this country must be divided, They don't seem to understand the gravity of what they're saying.
Maybe they should read Brigadier General Labote's book on the humanitarian actors and what they go through on a daily basis, and probably interview or talk to those in the IDP camps, and people will know that the best option for us, even if we have to break up, is not by war.
To sit down.
I mean, we sit down and judge to achieve some of these things, because the cost, I mean, those who are around in 1967, I mean, will tell us that it is not always the best. Like General Labode said, because I've read the book, and he said what they see on a daily basis is beyond anything anybody can comprehend. When you see even the cost of rebuilding, I mean, the damage that would have been done as a result of attacks. And at times there are collateral damages to civilian population, I mean, who end up being the ones that are more affected by some of these actions. Look at what is happening between Palestine and Israel before the ceasefire. A whole hospital, I mean, like a 12-story building came down because a shot that was fired from Israel went off target. I mean, how do you account for that? A lot of civilian population, it was not intended, but it happened. So these are some of the things he spoke on in the book, and also the effects, the costs of managing such things in the North. That's why Nigeria has to come up with the Northeast Development Commission,
so that they can start rebuilding
some of the things.
It's already even projected that it will take up to 40 years to rebuild the Northeast.
Wow.
Kind of set back
40 years. There are communities that are completely destroyed.
Burnt down.
The way Boko Haram, this is what I've seen, this is not what I've been told. The way Boko Haram destroys things, I've seen them, even this tricycle, Keke Marwa, they went mango, they twisted it. We are dealing with beasts. You can go into a community, there will be not one building with a roof over it.
Yeah, they'll burn that.
That is the way they destroyed it. Destroy everything. When I went to the federal government college in Buniyadi, where those boys were slaughtered in their sleep in 2014, there was not one building that was standing. So it's not, they don't destroy, simply destroy, do piecemeal destruction. They destroy, I said, even overhead water tanks, they shot at them, drilled holes in them so that the tank can never take water. These are beasts. Even high tension cables, they brought them down, broke the pole. The pole bearing
the reinforcements.
They broke it into two.
They are not rational.
They are not human beings.
Anything they do.
I just don't. That people can be so destructive. Now, I'm talking about a few towns, but we have places like in Borno North that nobody has lived in since 2014.
Wow.
There are communities like that. People dare not go. And even if you want to go, it must be rebuilt before you can come back and live there. And there are places that have been rebuilt by the combination of Kashim Shettima and Governor Zulum, that they went back there to destroy a second time. Anyone who knows Bama will tell you that they've gone back, they rebuilt, these guys came, destroyed again. So 40 years, that's what's been projected that we need
Take them to
rebuild the Northeast.
Let's take it home. The agitators of war in Nigeria right now, what do you have to tell them?
Many of them have never seen war before. Some of the people talking about war now, they were not even born during the Civil War. They were not born during the Civil War. So they cannot tell the story of the Civil War or any war for that matter. People sit behind their cheap phones, sending all kinds of messages, trying to cause crisis in our country because they are safe where they are. Incite people to violence because they are safe where they are.
The number of views,
it is because they even go to the extent of sending some things that happen in other countries.
Yes, and claim that it is here.
In Nigeria.
No, that is the thing. Manipulation.
When they wanted, abroad, especially
when they wanted to say that people ejected from the aircraft, they brought a 2018 video, eyewitness account of that time when we lost squadron leader Baba Hari, and the eyewitness account of that time was what they brought back and told us that somebody ejected just before that crash happened, that somebody ejected it as a way of saying that they planted bomb in it, and so they had to escape.
Those two guys escaped.
So this is the.
There was a manifest of those who boarded up the plane.
Do you know? Do you know that when you know that? So even when one of the online media outlets reported what I said about it, somebody now said you talk too much. How about people who use parachutes to jump down? So they said that I took it to. Now, and they know Nigerians are gullible. So whatever you say, they want to believe. Somebody said some nasty things about the government, things that I know are not true. I'm a critic of the government. But when I see lies, I can't fall cheaply for lies. Somebody now sent the thing to me, said, everything that this woman said, I've been told is true. I said, how do you believe everything that this person said? This person is just saying rubbish. She's probably not even based in Nigeria. But they enjoy it when people call them to say, no, we have to split the country up. This and that. The implication of splitting the country up, you have not even considered. Have we exploited all avenues? People are talking about how we can solve our problem, how we can sit down and solve these problems. Have we sat down to say, okay, there's no solution to the problems that we are going through. Therefore, the solution is to just go our separate ways. You know? No, if it even come to, it's not going to be urban nation. You have Ijaw nation, you have this thing. All kinds of groups coming up, you know, and saying all kinds of things. We just hope that our leaders will respond appropriately where we need to address issues that have to do with inequity and all that, and security problems. Some of these issues did not come up before now. 2015, nobody was talking about this. Now, the problems that have given rise to these agitations, no matter how meaningless they are, we have to address those problems.
Especially
if we don't address them, if we don't address them, and we are unable to protect our people, people will continue to think that, look, let me go to Canada, let me go to this place, let me go to that place. So that the advice that Governor Fayemi gave, people will not take the advice because they will continue to think their country is not safe for them to live in.
Yes, telling them not to check out.
Yes, government has to address the security problem, solve the problem. It's not unsolvable. Let's see concrete steps that you are taking to solve the problem, and all will be fine.
All right, I have Ima from Owerri.
Good afternoon, my brothers.
Good afternoon,
Ima.
God bless you, Babajide and Co. Honestly, I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome.
I started following you guys on Facebook after watching you here. You will know the more you are doing now, but I think posterity will remember you with time.
Amen.
Thank you.
When I tell you I'm calling from Owerri, you know I'm calling from Source. Just this afternoon, we're hearing about the death of Gulak or something, shot at the airport.
Hotspot now.
This is all we hear now. Death of this, Rono, they are calling we should, this and that. And these things are being instigated from people from maybe Facebook, whatever, social media, because you're hitting the point. The people that are instigating these people, do they know that almost all these, what they call the POS groups, they don't work now. There are groups going with gun, robbing these young girls, working for people to survive, from shop to shop. Do they know that every supermarket now you enter by 5, 6 p.m., you'll be laid down and robbed? Do they know how many people now that are being caught by stray bullets?
Yeah, you imagine.
And these things are like, these things are like pleasure trip. Do you know how many people that are relocating from where I'm living?
And a beautiful place.
People come every Friday from Port Harcourt and other states to come and stay. Hotels are gradually closing. Do you know how many old ones that are dying of BP as we speak?
Wow.
And everybody say, don't worry, we'll survive. And a group of youths have been deceived in this manner. I'm not talking about the rubbish that is going on in Nigeria, but there is a time something called we reduce politics. The fire that is being ignited, when it starts burning, I have never seen a nation survive through civil war. This is not funny.
Never.
What people are seeing here is not funny. What is raging from this part of the world, whether it's politics, whether it's whatever, somebody got to stop this. If people are scared, this is a time bomb waiting to explode. Maybe the picture has not properly been painted to you people. And we are still laughing about it, we're again, and this and that. We are here, and it's not right. I want to thank you guys who can speak up. This is not good for this country.
It's not good at all.
This is not good.
Thank you for your submission. Thank you. Thank you for your submission. MJ, it's not, all is not well, especially in that part of the country now. A city that used to be very, very peaceful, right now has been turned to, I don't know.
On a daily basis, you hear of INEC offices going down, police stations going down, and somebody will sit down in UK or Canada, be giving them instructions that any man in uniform you see, bring them down, and some guys carry guns.
Young people.
Young guys, like the last caller just said. That is the kind of...
It won't take us anywhere.
It won't help anybody. I mean, a city that is always... I've been in Owerri several times. Peaceful city, beautiful.
Fast developing.
Honestly, and I think the elders there should call the youths to order and let them see reason. And this is another result of failed parentage. Because some of the parents who can't even talk to their children. I mean,
they've gone out of hand.
They have gone out of hand. So you see, it's happening everywhere, and this thing is snowballing. And like he said, it's a time bomb that we must nip in the bud. Where if it explodes, we might not be able to.
It's not everybody that we have access to.
Yeah, we might not be able to. It's not everybody that will be able to run away. And with our 200 million population, who will take us?
All right, moving on now. To have a brand new constitution or return to the 1963 Republican Constitution appears to be the dominant theme as zonal hearings of the review of the 1999 Constitution top center stage. The need for state police, adoption of fiscal federalism, creation of more states dominated the discussions as the Senate forges ahead with plans to amend the 1999 Constitution. Jide, what is this 1963 Constitution, Republican Constitution about? Lately, people have been talking about it, and what's the difference between this 1963 Republican Constitution and our 1999 Constitution as amended?
It's basically its regional character. I am for restructuring. I'm for state police right now. I'm for fiscal federalism. But I don't agree that we should go back to the era of the regions. I don't agree. I believe we can strengthen our federalism and run our country properly.
Going back to the region,
using...
Are we going to dissolve the states?
That's what that constitution is about. It's regionalism, whereby everyone developing at his using its resources, this and that. If we have fiscal federalism, the states, even the local government, will get greater responsibility in the entire scheme of things. Greater responsibility to handle taxation, even security, and other issues. But we still have a federal structure that works. But to take us back to 1963, I am not in support of that. But I'm in support of
Western
restructuring.
region, Eastern region.
No, that's not what. We can't go all the way back to 1963. But I'm for restructuring. I believe that fiscal federalism can work in our country. Because it's working in other countries, India, America, and all that. You know, even Denmark. So it can work here. We just have to straighten things up and ensure that we have a federal system that works for everyone. Because for now, people are not convinced that this federal structure works for everyone. They are not convinced.
We are practicing a unitary system of government in this guise of federalism. The center is so powerful. Calls the shots. I think they have 58 items on the exclusive list. Things that ordinarily should not be the problem of the federal government. The responsibility has been taken off the local government, from the local government even to state level. Now we have a very, very powerful center.
We have put ourselves in a situation where we don't know. We are acting like a bat in Nigeria. We don't know whether we are a bird or an animal. Yes, we are acting like a bat. We don't know whether we are actually flying or walking. Why am I saying this? Because we tried to imitate the American system of government, but then we were colonized by the British. So we are caught in between.
You want to do a little bit of...
The last election in America that threw up President Joe Biden as the president was a classical example of how states in America have their own independence.
Yeah.
I mean, different states has...
There was no noise about one federal body called INEC.
Different
INEC chairman.
bodies.
No.
Each state, we have Republican states telling Trump that, come, we can't do your bidding. That you lost in this state. If we count 20 times, you will still lose. So, forget it.
We won't rig for you.
We won't rig for you. Unlike here in Nigeria, I mean, before the Jega era, we have had instances where there will be a result from Sokoto, another thing will be announced in Abuja.
The Maurice Iwu era.
Maurice Iwu will announce another result in Abuja. So, like abracadabra. Now, a situation where Kano is practicing ISBA and they are collecting VAT money from sales of beer from Nigerian breweries and Guinness. I mean, almost more than Lagos, because they have 44 local governments. And they are busy in Kano destroying bottles of beer. And we call that true federalism. Now, why people are calling for a return to 1963 constitution, it's not far-fetched, because it was in 1963 that Awolowo was able to use money from the region to build cocoa house and do free education.
Do you see that working in 2021?
Of course it can't work. We need to modify what we have now. Like Gide said, I mean, we need to go to restructuring. And like the one that was, I mean, the Southwest public hearing that held in Akure, in Ondo State, where they have, I was able to witness that on Wednesday and Thursday, where the Ondo and Ekiti governments came up with almost the same position on constitution that we must have a federal system that is truly federal in all sense of it. That there should be devolution of power.
Yes.
We can't be practicing tokenism, talking with, where you have the federal government being in a nebulous state of nation where you control about 70% of the resources, and the states come to you caps in hand every month. It can't work. Lagos, for example, can generate, in fact, can be the center can feed the whole of the Southwest.
Imagine the governors in America always going to DC.
That is it.
Always going to DC every month.
That's the way the Constitution is. And the Constitution designed it like that.
Yeah, the governor of California, for example, California is about the seventh largest economy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can bullshit Joe Biden or bullshit Bush.
It's running a mini country.
It's running a mini country. And so, that's why you have to negotiate with a state like California.
They have their own Supreme Court.
They have Supreme Court. So, why can't we do that in Nigeria, where, a state like Lagos, imagine...
There's the issue of police.
The issue of police. Yes.
The federal the policing structure now.
Yes.
It is clear that it cannot work anymore.
If Lagos state government had left policing to the federal government alone.
As in funding or logistics.
In terms of funding and logistics, probably we won't be able to work even in the afternoon in Lagos.
And that's what every state is doing.
That's what every
Kaduna, every state, yes. they are having to fund the federal
police. But when it comes to command structure and response, it is difficult for these governors to even seek help.
No, they don't even have that power.
Adekunle Yusuf the other day was even saying that the school he went to in Wisconsin, that they have their own police department, at the university, they have their own police department. And in the situation where one IG is
because they are localized to that area, they know the code groups.
They know that it guarantees effectiveness.
Yeah.
And it's that effectiveness that I am pushing for. Because when you devolve powers to all the federating units, you also are making it possible for everyone across our country to feel governance. So I believe that this is the way to go.
There's this argument that is not even peculiar with the federal government. You understand that even the states, they are holding the local governments, they are holding them to ransom.
I think it's only in Lagos that we have, and probably a few states in the Southwest, that we have a few semblance of what we call real governance at the local level. I'm not saying it's 100%, but that's why you see the competition for local government positions in Lagos is more fierce than any other state, because it's like a full autonomy that they have started doing that in Lagos. And I think to some extent, Ondo and Ekiti states, they are practicing that, where the governor has excessive powers. There are some states where you will think it's only the governor that is operating there. There are some states you won't even know whether there's a deputy governor. The kind of power.
Total power.
Talk less
lockdown.
of
no role given to them.
Yes, talk less of. There are some states in the south that we can't mention some of these states, but they know themselves. We won't even know whether there's a commissioner for information. It is the governor 24/7, one man show. It's not supposed to be like that.
All right, we have a caller from Abuja. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Ayo.
All right, go ahead with your contribution, please.
Babajide, thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And the other journalists. A quick one, Ayo. I want to take you back a little bit to the insecurity situation in the north, in the southeast.
Yes.
I think that is a negligence on the part of our institutions. A lot of videos make the rounds in WhatsApp of young people, young men, about 100,000 of them, sitting down and saying they are being recruited for Southeastern Security Network or so. Nobody did anything. Then on the Constitution, I think they are the institutions. Our institutions should do better. What they are doing is actually not good enough, so they should do better to protect the life and properties of the citizens. Then on the Constitution, there is a lot wrong with our Constitution. I'll give you an example, Ayo. if I'm looking for a job in NNPC or CBN, the requirement is 2-1. That's almost a second-class degree award before I get a job. But you can be a president with a secondary school certificate. That is a very difficult one and very funny. So I think a lot is wrong with our constitution, and we need to sit down as the people, the agitators of Biafra, the agitators of Odua, the northern leaders, the northern elders, the youth. Everybody should have an input in the constitution, because that is why it is said that we the people. So I think it's okay. Everybody should start submitting their memoranda in the zones that the town halls are going on. Submit and make a case for your amendments, and I'm sure we've gone far this time around, and we will achieve it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you so much.
Yes, my producer just informed me we are still we want to link up with Dr. Saleh Ibrahim. We still don't have his audio, we have his video. We're just trying to connect him. But Babajide, looking at it, it raised a very vital point. Because what's a lot of people will say now that our chief executive, we are talking about the people that should have the 3 C's, that is character, competence, and capacity. Right now, what we have seen, true, if you want to enter into a multinational corporation as a fresh graduate, you sit for aptitude, your aptitude test. Some will even ask you write GRE, you write competency just to see. But why is our constitution saying yes, just WAEC or its equivalent for the chief executive officer of a country or the state, or the equivalent?
Attempted.
No, there are many things wrong about that constitution. Don't forget that it was simply bequeathed to us by the military. I'm not aware of Nigerians electing people to represent them on a kind of committee with the mandate of drafting the constitution. That should be the way to go. Nigerians need to choose the people who get to sit down to draft the constitution for them. When that is done, you will know that yes, this is truly the people's constitution. A situation in which, okay, the military were in a hurry to give power to the civilians, during General Abdul Salami's time, and they hurriedly put together a constitution. Some of what is there is simply lifted from the 79 constitution. But I still see the 79 constitution as better, much better than the 1999 constitution, So the people need to come together to say, these are the things that we want in our constitution. They should be able to say, okay, let every state be able to provide electricity for its people.
As basic as that.
To a situation in which you say, oh, if you generate up to 50 megawatts, they must go to the national grid. No, no country can develop like that. Let everyone. The things that we need to unbundle so many things.
And that distribution company.
I do not agree that we have to create more states, because I'm seeing in all of these meeting zonal hearings, they are talking about creating new states. Look at, even from the present Adamawa state, they want to create 2 states. One called Amana, the other one called Gongola. And from Taraba state, they want to create what they called Mambila state. Look, if people had their way, every community, even in Lagos here,
I'm telling you,
will have a state of its own. Once you find it difficult, or you are constantly in conflict with some of the people in your state, you then start thinking that, look, we need to have a state of our own.
Ibadan states.
For Amana, for example, they were saying no, that we used to be part of Cameroon. And what they promised us at that time was that, look, things will be fine, and we will have autonomy, we will have this. Now we are part of Nigeria, since 1961, all of the promises that they made to us, they have not fulfilled. Then you are thinking of having your own state out of Adamawa State. When the current states in our country, are not well funded, and they don't have the finances. A lot of them are not viable.
At all.
3/4 of them are not viable.
They cannot
yet
pay
you are
this
thinking
minimum
of
wage.
Yet you are thinking of creating more states because you know that the states have to be in the constitution. So
listed.
Yes. So that is one of the things that they are asking for. But I do not see the sense that it makes to go and create new states at this time.
What business? The 1999 constitution, the 774 local government we have is listed in that 1999 constitution. What business, as the federal government, if Lagos decide to say, oh, we want to have local council development areas to bring government closer to the people? Till tomorrow, those LCDAs are not funded directly from.
Yeah, I'll still draw a comparison from Lagos and Kano. 20 years ago, Lagos had and still have 20 local governments.
20 local governments.
Kano, 20 years ago, was 44 local governments. Today, Kano has Jigawa State. Carved out of it with a capital in Jalingo. Now, Adija, Duse. Now, Kano still has 34 local governments, with the other state, Jigawa, having, I think, about 20-something local governments. So, and if you look at the population in those two states, I don't think it's up to, combined, it's not up to what we have in Lagos.
About 20 million people.
As of today. So, but
by the 2006 census, Kano is the most populous state in Nigeria.
According to
more than Lagos.
According to the census.
All evidence to the contrary, but we all know how this.
The official.
Yeah, we all know how these things work. But today, it is ridiculous to assume or to think that Lagos to continue to have
20 local governments are recognized.
Each time this goes to the National Assembly for debate, they shut it down. So with that kind of system,
I think it's a lot easier for the military to create states,
to create
local governments.
Of course,
yes. There's something that Modakeke has that is even listed. That's small Modakeke in the constitution.
Administrative office.
Yes.
You see,
because of that conflict.
Yes, and I don't think it should be. Democracy should be about development. Democracy every 10 years. In the US, something similar to what INEC just did now, by converting polling points to polling units. That's what INEC just did. And now,
so we're going to have over 120,000.
That is it. Now, it's every 10 years we should be able to review the status of our local governments, and even if we can increase states. I mean, the one they call counties in America. Every 10 years, they review it and determine whether a province or a precinct should have more counties, more electors. I mean, they change all these things every 10 years.
Upgrade it. Okay.
So, we should do the same in Nigeria.
We'll quickly take this commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We'll be right back. Yes, welcome back. It's Journalist Hangout on Sunday. Every Sunday, we bring you 120 minutes of bumper-packed issues of national importance from 1:30 to 3:30. Yes, Journalist Hangout every Sunday, 2 hours, like a review. And I still have Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mojid Jamiu in the studio. Gentlemen, so looking at, this is not the time a lot of Nigerians have been complaining about the 1999 Constitution. The information there now is that we have public hearing across the geopolitical zones and everything. This is not the time to write memoranda, submit your memoranda and see. But a friend of mine from the Southeast said, look, all the regions, out of the 6 regions that we have, that every state, they have six states. That geopolitical zone, sorry, 6 states, that it's only the Southeast that is left with just 5. Yes. So they want that anomaly corrected.
Yes, and I support them to at least to achieve balance. It's been on the cards for so long, and I don't know why it happened like that at that time. But the military were the ones creating states. The civilians have not been able to create states of their own. It's a lot
quite
more
difficult, very difficult.
It's a lot more difficult to achieve unanimity.
The process of altering that constitution.
But the military, the Supreme Military Council can sit.
Yes.
The AFRC, Armed Forces Ruling Council, can sit, and within hours they can decide.
Immediately they cut it.
You know? They can even change, even where a decision has been reached, to say, okay, we are putting, we are creating Hadeja State. They can say, no, we are not creating Hadeja State anymore. We are going to create Jigawa State. So Hadeja will not be state capital. The state capital will be in Duse. In anger, people will go and attack one of their own generals from Hadeja and say it was because he quarreled with Abacha that they didn't eventually get.
Like what happened in the Delta.
You know? Where a state was created and the capital was taken to the extreme end of the state, which is wrong.
Instead of
Asaba is at the extreme end of the state, as the boundary with Anambra State.
Okay.
Administratively, you want your state capital to be
at the
located
center.
in the center.
Okay.
You know? So, but
the military will just decrease.
These things happen.
For some reasons.
We just have to live with it. At least they created those states. These civilians have not been able to create.
For
MJ, the people from Ogun State, I would even tell you that they want Jebu State.
No, you see, the agitation.
They wanted it even during Yaradua's time. But the biggest problem at that time was the fact that to create Jebu State, they were going to take some communities out of Lagos.
Yeah.
Ikorodu.
Yes.
Ikorodu, Ekpe, all those areas were.
Yes.
They were going to take them out of Lagos. And the challenge was, Lagos was now going to be a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So the fear at that time for Dia and others was, look, if we reduce Lagos drastically, the people who had made up their minds to simply turn Lagos to an administrative territory rather than a state will achieve their aim, because Lagos will have become too small.
Yeah, to
look at Ikorodu. Ikorodu is such a sprawling community, bigger than Ijebu.
Massive.
Very big.
Yeah.
So imagine taking Ikorodu out of Lagos. And
because
those are not the only.
Ikorodu is also Ijebu. Yeah.
Yes, they are Ijebu now. It was listed as part of the. So to make Lagos, for Lagos to suddenly become too small. Already Lagos is the smallest state in our country, geographically. And by the time you take those ones away, take Ekpe away, Lagos will become too small to be a state.
Moving on now, hard times are here, and Nigerians are not smiling over the unprecedented rise in food prices. A consistent rise in inflation in the country has seen corresponding hike in prices of food and other items in the markets. Rising insecurity in different parts of the country has been blamed for the recent hike in prices of food items as Nigerians continue to groan under economic hardship. In this Journalist Hangout Weekend Special, TVC News Abimbola Agbebi brings us updates in this market survey.
Food is essential to the development of the body, hence it is one of the 3 basic needs of life. As essential as food is to human existence, its availability is most of the time determined by power of the purse of individuals. Startling revelations emerged during our visits to different markets in Lagos, as it was discovered that prices of major food items are already hitting the rooftop. Not satisfied with what I saw, I decided to visit the popular Mile 12 International Market in K2 area of Lagos, having visited other markets across the state. The K2 Mile 12 Market, which is the home of perishable foodstuff, is also known as the vegetable hub of West Africa. As one of the biggest marketplaces in the state, it is generally known for flexibility in the cost of major food items. It is where food products coming from within and outside the state land, serving as a meeting point for buyers and sellers. Here, food items are generally perceived to be cheap when compared to other markets. But this was not true on my visit to the market this day, as Salisu Usman, a bell pepper seller, laments high cost of this food item.
Pepper now they say the food last 2 months when they go they sell back 30,000. They say 28. Some people that buy, some people that talk say the market is too expensive. But the two are at money sometimes.
Aziz, a yam seller, also shared his story.
How much is your yam? My yam is 3.5 last. That one, na last price at the seller.
How many is this one?
Na 5 pieces.
And it's 3.5?
3.5 last.
How much did they sell before?
Before, then they sell on 1.5. Now when you don't cost, that is why everything costs. Before now 1.5. Yes. So before making 300. Now on 700 then the seller now making 3.5. People they buy sumo but tell then they buy well. But now on market no day.
Here is a market survey of major food items in Lagos showing a shift in the prices recently. A bucket of gari, which was sold for 700 naira last year, is now selling for 1,100 naira, while a bag now sells for 16,000 naira. A bag of imported rice, popularly known as foreign rice, is now 26,000 naira, as against the old price of 23,000 naira. Also, a bag of local rice now goes for 22,500 naira, which is still a bit stable, as there is not much difference in the price. A big bag of beans, popularly known as oloyin, now goes for 62,000 naira, which was sold for 28,000 naira last year. The prices of vegetable oil keep fluctuating, as these foodstuff traders share our thoughts on the present situation in the market.
You can't buy, you can't sell. We know when price is high, people don't buy. Bottle of groundnut oil is 650. The thing we used to sell 400 before. Things are expensive. Too much. People are suffering. See bucket of gari, 1,100. 500 naira bucket before. Beans, this one, this pen is 2,400. A bag of beans, 60,000. 70. Gombe, 60. Real Mediguri, 70. It's expensive. I'm not making anything. If you make it, so buy meat, if I carry money now, I wanted to buy meat. I get there. If you see meat of 5,000, my sister, too small. I did not buy one fish. They will say 1.5. Don't know where we are going. We are just praying that God should help us. Maybe somebody hold 3,000. Let me come to market. You buy a bottle of Ororo 650. Meat 1,000 meats. If they cut it for you, it's not up to 10. So what are we saying? They are managing. They should help us. We are suffering. The masses is suffering.
Because I have little children, they must eat, but they prefer rice to beans. The beans I was buying it for, as at last year, I was buying for 800, 900. But now it is 2,200 for the oloyin. Then the ordinary one is 2,002 or 2,003, as the case may be. So the rice I just bought small here now. They said the bag is 22,500, but I don't have money for bag, so I just bought a pint. She managed to sell for me for 2,000 naira for a pint. So that was what. Depends, it's for authority anyway. If they open the border, it will come down. At Christmas, the thing came down to 20,000 and we bought for like 1/8 per pint. But now it has gone back to, some people said for 24, some people said 20. We just have to buy it because we cannot eat the money, as I have said. We can't eat the money. So somehow we look for like tomatoes, the one that is a bit broken. I bought some potato now, the broken one. So that's it. So meat, to make end meat.
Ẹran ọ̀pọ̀ ọ̀wọ́n gidi gan ni. Ọ̀wọ́n àwa ga àtúnwà lọ àríra níbi tó wọ́n dé. Ẹyọ kan báyìí is 4,000 naira. Òǹlẹ́lẹ̀ méjèèjì jẹ́ 8,000 naira. Tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ 2,500 2,000 naira. Gbogbo nǹkan tí wọ́n o. Ẹ bá wa sọ fáwọn ìjọba kí wọ́n bá wa já gbogbo ẹ̀ wálẹ̀ o. Ṣé gbọ́?
For this market official, prices of most of the food items have skyrocketed for various reasons, most especially these perishable food items. Top on the list of reasons he gave is rising insecurity in the northern part of the country.
The market is mostly expensive, especially tomatoes. This is a season because normally every year this is how we encountered it. At times when the rain started in the north, you find that the first rain washes off all the tomatoes. We cannot expect tomatoes to come down. Luckily, by end of this June, because the one of Southwest is coming out, that's the way we have an assistance. When our tomatoes from the north is going down, then the one of the Southwest is coming up. There is many challenges along the way. Even most of our traders is at risk along while traveling, and even though some of them going back, they are at risk because mostly you find people and operate of these kidnappers. No one somebody even at the farm people are being kidnapped. So there are many challenges, but we are just praying. Inshallah, God will take control of all the situation we are facing in the country.
Meanwhile, for the first time in many months, recall that the inflation rate in Nigeria moderated by 0.05% to 18.12% in April from 18.17% recorded in March 2021. The ease in inflation was said to have been influenced by a decline in the food index, which the National Bureau of Statistics said stood at 22.72% in April 2021, compared with 22.95% in March 2021. Reflecting a reduction by 0.23%. However, in the month under consideration, there were still increases in the price of coffee, tea, bread, cereals, and other food items. On whether government can help reduce the growing burden, some Nigerians are indifferent as they struggle to live with the challenges.
If there is something they can do, they would have done it long time ago, but they have not done anything. So we, the ordinary people, will just have to make a way for ourselves because we cannot depend on the government anymore.
Rising insecurity in the northern part of the country tops the list of the challenges traders here have had to grapple with. When it comes to getting these food items down to the southwestern part of the country, now they want government to come to their rescue so that life can be better for residents. Abimbola Agbebi, TVC News, Lagos.
Very tough.
In fact, I'm scared. I can now see why.
The situation is very tough.
Why?
Let's say last week, I wanted to drink Gari Jebu. So, and I asked them to go and buy. So, now the Gari that you say is a poor man's food, is now 1,100 per pint.
From 500.
From 500,
Yeah.
That paint bucket.
Yes.
That's Gary.
Gary. Do you want to do?
My wife said I should follow her to the market so that he said, just hold the money. Let us go to the market. I will just point to the item and you buy. I said, don't give me money. I was afraid.
With 10,000 naira,
I was afraid to take out the
because they are even better at pricing things than us. That's one thing. The women are much better at pricing things than us.
So difficult. And
I've noticed that these days, whatever I keep my money in my wardrobe. Within a short time, it's exhausted. So I've been wondering,
what's happening?
What's going on? I can now see clearly the reason. Because some of the facts that came out from this report, I never knew that a bag of rice could move from 20,000
beans.
A bag of beans could move from 20,000 to 62,000.
Yeah. And the highest
another person
the highest grade is 770.
Yes, because I had one of my Maiduguri. That's 70. So I'm alarmed. There's no market survey that you can do that will incorporate everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not possible to.
Basics.
You just target a few of the items.
Yeah.
But to have moved from 28
to 62
is really scary.
To those people making,
that's more than double.
Those people
a
making
kilo of Titus, Titus fish.
Yes.
From 900 to 2,500.
Yeah.
A kilo.
A kilo of turkey.
Yes.
From 1,100 to 2,400. Man. I can now see where.
And bread.
And those ones are even threatening that
they said,
going to.
It's not a threat, because why they are saying that is a truckload of flour that they normally take for 6 million is now costing them 9 million. So if they are doing 30%, if they are planning a 30% increment, then they are doing us a favor. Because that's a 50% increment. And flour is 70%, constitutes 70% of the total production cost of bread. At least 70%. Because you only need to add a little bit of yeast, baking powder, butter, and sugar.
Salt. Okay, so sugar.
Bread is like 70%. And you know, flour goes into the production of cake, confectionaries, biscuits. What have you?
Very key.
So, what we are seeing is a very, very scary situation.
It has never been.
So if you put money in your wardrobe because you want to be very open with your wife, you put money in your wardrobe, and you notice that it shrinks faster than before. This is the reason. Because I was going to have an eyeball to eyeball session with Mrs. So he told you that what's going on. I'm noticing that this thing is finishing rapidly. But right now, before they throw a challenge to me to accommodate them to the market, and I'll be the one. No, I know why this is happening. I don't have to follow her to the market. This is a story that really
that tells it. Yeah.
They tell the story of
this
what we are going
tells
through.
The story. Yeah.
People are going through a lot in our country, and like Ayo said earlier, nothing goes up in our country that comes down. It has gone up. They will never agree for it to come down. You know, even if it comes down, maybe just marginally.
You won't get it back. You won't get a bag of beans back at 28.
No, it won't happen.
However, buy a bag of rice for 9,000.
Maybe tomatoes come down gradually, a little bit.
Because it floods the market at
during dry season. It comes down. Even onions at a point will come down. But a lot of these things,
that of beans is really, really
with
scary.
A minimum wage of 30,000 naira or 18,000 naira. How do you, a family of 5, how do you go about?
I don't know. And you have children to feed. This bread thing is even scary because when your children are fully at home, and they play all those video games, they don't sleep at night. They just keep eating bread.
Bread and tea.
That is what sustains them. That's what gives them energy. You have to chase them to go and sleep at like sometimes up to 2 a.m. And this bread that they eat. Now, if they increase bread price by 30%, already now it's about 550.
Yeah.
For a loaf of bread, that the long one, sliced bread, 550. If they increase it by 30%,
we could end up at 600 or 700.
How are we going to cope?
Jide, I cannot, I'm not independently verified, but I was told that that sachet water is now 20 naira.
Yes, it is. It's true.
Of course.
What we used to buy for 5 naira.
Yes,
now, the most exciting part of it is that what can we do with 5 naira now? We still have 5 naira in circulation.
Yes.
We have 10 naira in circulation.
25 naira.
20 naira in circulation. Not to talk about coins.
We don't use the coins. Inflation has totally knocked out those
so if you have 5, they should stop just.
What are you going to buy with 25 naira?
All right. A member of the Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, Emmanuel Noha, joins us via Zoom. Thank you for joining us, Emmanuel.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Ayo. Good afternoon, BKU, and good afternoon, Moji.
Good afternoon. Are you? Is the story that we are hearing true that bread makers are planning to increase the price of bread by 30%? I hope it's not true.
Gentlemen, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, viewers at home. You just read out a synopsis of a tale of woe in the food commodity market in Nigeria. And bread is no exception. By the way, I am Engineer Honor Emmanuel. I'm the president of Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria. The association that I lead hasn't increased bread, but we are battling with so much uncertainty, so much problem, so much challenges in bread making. Our businesses are comatose. Bakeries are shutting down. My members are fallen. My members are in a dark strait. It's not funny being a premium bread maker or even a bread maker now. And not only bread making, but even confectionery. It's very, very, very tough. You know, when I look at the country today, I pray for this country that everything will come out well. Because if you join the insecurity with food insecurity, it becomes a matter of monumental, a matter of bigger problem. We just hope that those in authority will listen to what we are saying, especially for the bread makers, because bread is a staple. Every Nigerian, rich or poor, humble or elite, eats bread one way or the other. If you don't eat it, you take other confectionaries. This is the best grab and go globally. And anything that will make that price to spike indiscriminately will result to a lot of crisis in this country. I just hope that the government is listening. I know your medium is widely watched by those in power. Let them come to the aid of bakers so that they don't exacerbate the already precarious situation.
What do you want government to do? What specifically do you want government to do?
Well, Jide, let me take you on our inputs that we use, and then let me give you the percentage increases that we suffered pre-COVID to now. Flour used to go for 10,500 naira. It is now going for about 15,500 with a threat that they are going to increase by 500. The millers are always increasing flour almost on the weekly basis now by 500 naira. And for every 500 naira they increase, as a premium bread maker, your margin shrinks by about 10 naira, 8 to 10 naira. Now, from 10,500 to 15,500, it's about a 22% increase. And flour, like Mojida earlier said in the prelude to this program, or to my coming on, is about 70% of the inputs. Sugar, that was 13,500, going from about 18,700 to 19,000, depending on where you are getting it from. That's about a 30% increase. Margarine, fat, that was going for 5,800, is now going for 12,500, a 54% increase. Preservative, that was going for 29,000, is now 42,000, that's a 40% increase. Yeast, that used to go for 7,500, 8,000, is going for 15,500 to some extent 16,000. That's a 52% increase. Salt rose by 18%, as ordinary as it is. Now, softener that we used to buy for 300,000 is now going for about 450 to 500,000, which is about 28 to 30% increase. Oil, ororo, that we use in our premix that was going for 75,000 a drum is now going for 160,000, which is 53% increase. Milk that was going for 29,000 is now 65,000, which is about 58% increase. Diesel, of course, you know the role of power in any MSME, whether MSME or major industry. Diesel was going for 130 to 140 before now, and now it's going for 270. That's about 51% increase. So if you accumulate the whole of these inputs that I've given you, you find out that
so how much will the bread come out?
You understand? It's going to be monumental. But as a people, we are Nigerians. You know, our parents live here, we live here, we work here, we feel for the people. But all we are saying is, as Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, we will.
Oh, we have to get Mr. Noah back. It's very important. Just look at what he has reeled out, Babajide. This is just a practical demonstration of the reason why that bread, you can't sustain the price.
Two key points there. You know, I was talking about the price of bread for a truckload. Now he has broken it down to per bag from 10,500 to 15,000. And diesel a year ago, no, about this time last year, diesel, of course we all buy diesel, about 180. At a point, pre-COVID it was 130. But then with rising crude oil prices, diesel increased by about 100 naira per liter. Today, most filling stations is between 260 and 270 per liter. So if you take those two items alone, it talks about...
Those items alone are enough to raise the price.
Those two items
I wanted to correct you that we don't all buy diesel. Well, strictly for the big boys. I don't know. Do you know what do you do with diesel?
so it's, jokes apart, sugar, he talked about sugar from 13,000 to 19,000. Softener, of course, these are things they use in bread, from 300,000 to 450,000. A difference of 150,000.
So, all right, I have Mr. Onoha back.
No. I'm back on the line, sorry.
All right.
My network.
Okay. So, at the end of the day, you've given us a kind of breakdown now. At the end of the day, this will definitely affect the unit price.
As an industry, as an association, we don't fix prices for our members. What we do for our members is you go out, do your costing. Know what you want to do as a business. If you want to remain in business, you know how you run your recipe. What we do is basically, as a people, we do peer reviews, we do in-class regulation amongst ourselves, help ourselves on government regulations and all that. So we are not into telling our members to increase price by this way, because my recipe is different from the next man's recipe. But from the synopsis I've just given, you know that we're in a dire strait, and it's not going to be funny for us in terms of the pricing of bread and all that. But I'm not saying that we are increasing price. All I'm saying is people look at their recipe, look at the makeup of what they are using to do their premium bread, and then decide what to do.
Yeah. So one of the things we want the federal government to do is to review the ban on your access to foreign exchange to be able to buy flour. So if the government does that, would you be kind enough to review this 30% increase? Because I think the CBN put flour and wheat as part of those items that they won't allow to access forex for. So yes. If the government reviews this position, would you be able to reduce? Look at the increments that you guys are talking about.
Mojit, please get me right. I'm not saying we are doing a 30% increase. That's not my association. I am president of Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria. So that 30% does not come from my association. But I am telling you from my own perspective as a baker. Now you are talking about removing wheat and sugar from the FX restriction list. Yeah. I think they've not done it. It's a policy that the governor of CBN initiated when he went to Nasarawa for this backward integration stuff with PUA and all that. Yeah. I don't think they started debating that. If they want to start it, I will advise the government to please wait. The times are not good for you to be doing all these kind of policies now in Nigeria. The federal government even need to be subsidizing wheat importation into this country. They need to help the millers. You know, in July 2012, the federal government introduced a 15% levy on wheat grain imports, resulting in an increase in effective duty from 5% to 20% on wheat that comes into Nigeria. The levy is meant for the development of wheat cultivation in Nigeria and fund research into cassava projects. But about how many years down the line, to 10 years down the line, after the introduction of the levy, we have not seen the effect of wheat cultivation and any headway in cassava flour initiative in Nigeria. What we are asking the government to do as a way of ameliorating the problem of even the millers, because as we speak, we are still talking for them because we use their product as their product as our end product for our product. The government should remove that 15% levy on wheat importation and let it be the way it was pre-July 20th, 2012, so that 15% can help the millers assuage the effect of this the 15% on the wheat importation, the duty on it. We help them. Government should only take 5%. With that, we help the price of wheat to come down significantly for the use of Nigerians in bread making and confectionery.
All right, I want to thank you, Mr. Onoha, Emmanuel Onoha. That's a member of the Premium Bread Makers Association, the president of the Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria. Thank you for your contribution. Jide,
thank you.
He has helped us. He has broken it down.
Thank you so much.
If we start, if we see a kind of increase in the price of bread per unit, we know why, and it's generally a very difficult terrain right now.
We just hope that we come out of this.
Inflation
come out of this in one piece.
Inflation 18.7.
This is what my dad about 40 years ago used to call a season of Fowuremi, as in things are so costly that you must use money to buy
to stay alive.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
MJ, we have to leave it there. Next, we'll talk sports. We'll take this break. We'll be right back after this time out. Stay with us.